I find it absolutely hilarious how Marvel can't make up their mind after Endgame if they want to make cheap cash grab slot movies or high quality thought provoking movies. Because Thunderbolts is really good and it continues this trend of Marvel making a really bad or really forgettable or just generic nothing of a movie and following it up with something really good. Like it started with Black Widow being really bad, followed by Shang-Chi, which was like, okay, this was done well. And then it was like, oh wait, now we got the Eternals right after that. And then it's like, wait, now we got the hype fest of Spider-Man No Way Home. It's like, what are we gonna follow that up with? Oh, Multiverse of Madness, which the writing was on the wall with that film. It wasn't the worst thing ever. It was somewhat enjoyable, but it had so many problems. And then right after that, Thor: Love and Thunder, absolutely terrible. Followed up by Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which in my opinion was really good, almost great. What do they follow that up with? The absolute abysmal abomination of a movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, just absolutely garbage. And then right after that movie came out, you got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is one of the best MCU movies ever made, followed up by The Marvels, which I liked, but it was like, yeah, there's like nothing here, and some of the writing is pretty bad, and it was a disaster at the box office. And then somehow, right after that absolute flop, Marvel turned it around again with Deadpool and Wolverine becoming one of the most successful movies ever made. And then right after that, they give us the most generic, forgettable nothingness of a Marvel movie in Captain America Brave New World. And then they follow that up with a really good, thought provoking movie in Thunderbolts. Like, I am surprised that Marvel went this deep with this movie. So, this is going to be my review of the Thunderbolts. It's almost great. It's not quite great. There's definitely something, that X factor, I think it's lacking. Maybe it needed to be bigger, more grand. Maybe some of the side characters needed to be fleshed out a bit more. I don't know. But as it stands, they did a really good job. And a lot of that has to do with the character of Yelena. Finally, she was always somewhat enjoyable. Like Florence Pugh brought her to life on the screen, but being that her debut was in Black Widow, you know that it wasn't gonna be that good. Like there was already problems with her character and the writing because that movie was really badly written. And since then, like she was in Falcon, or she was in Hawkeye, and she was all right in that. And now we finally get to see her like really shine here in Thunderbolts, and I'm really happy about that because she is a great character, and we just needed her character to be explored in the right way. Finally, she was. She's now almost an A-list character. Probably, yeah. I would say she's an A-list character. One of my favorites in the MCU now, because they took her past, her background as a widow, and took it seriously. Something that the Black Widow movie just refused to do. It's like, oh, yeah, you have Black Widows who were trained and psychologically manipulated since they were children to be these killers. Yeah, how about we just make them mind controlled little goons that are being puppeted by the evil man in his sky fortress, you know? And once they get the antidote, you know, they're singing Kumbaya and they're all happy and being nice to each other. It's like, no, what is this garbage? That was Black Widow, a movie that should have explored these really deep, thought-provoking, ideas of, psychological abuse and trauma and regret, but then given, a little bit of grace to the widows because of the situation. We didn't get that in that movie. We had to wait like how long has it been? Almost 5 years to get a good movie that explores that part of the MCU. And I wish we could explore it even more. I think that for what this movie was, it was explored as well as they could have done without overstuffing the film. I just want a good Black Widow movie, either about Natasha or about Yelena. Like, give me a full fledged movie just about that, about the Red Room and what it did to them, and how they're like going to be able to overcome it. We did get that in Thunderbolts. Yelena, her biggest thing is like struggling with all the terrible things that she did in the past. Because no, she wasn't just a mind controlled goon with some serum that they put into her brain. She actually was psychologically manipulated into doing terrible things. And so yes, there is grace there. That is a big part of this movie is giving grace and finding a place to forgive and forgive yourself for terrible things that you've done in the past. Being able to overcome the guilt and the shame and that trauma that is plaguing you. So good, so juicy. I love it. Uh, Yelena was absolutely fire in this, and Red Guardian was a really nice addition to not just this movie as a whole. He is funny, but not in a way that it feels out of place. He's just got that life and that fire in him, being that big Russian dude. It's great. It works very well. But then he even has these very tender, sweet moments, like especially with Yelena, like where you have Red Guardian, who is very, self-conscious and like almost in regret himself that he hasn't done more with his life, that he's not doing bigger things, and that he's also become kind of a failure, not only as the Red Guardian, but as a father to Yelena. And they had a really nice scene together that really it almost got me to cry. Like I was tearing up. It was a great scene between Yelena and Red Guardian. It was good. And along that same line with the characters, those two were the highlights, other than another character that I'm going to talk about at. So then we got John Walker, the U.S. agent. I like how they continued his story from where we left off in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and he was a nice character. I liked what they did with him. He's not like this absolute amazing, fleshed out, really deep character, but he has his layers and he adds an interesting dynamic to the team, which is kind of what is there with Ghost. Like Ghost is there personality wise. I like the little bit of flair she adds to the group, and especially with the action scenes, her powers are really fun and make for visually cool things. But I was kind of disappointed that they didn't flesh her out as a character more and give her a little bit more backstory or motivation. But for what she was in this movie, she works well. And then Bucky's been explored really deeply throughout the MCU. And in this movie, once again, he serves his purpose. He's not anything overly complicated. He's just kind of here to be, you know, the senator I think that he is, and kind of try to fight injustice. So he kind of acts as like this boss, like this guy who's trying to make sure things get done properly. And then you got Taskmaster, and I think they used Taskmaster perfectly in this movie. Like I would not change a thing of how they used Taskmaster in the plot. And then we got Valentina, who is very interesting. It's like finally, after years and years of setup, it's like, who is this random government evil lady? It's like this movie actually explores a little bit of who she is and actually made her interesting for once. She's not just this ominous little, pain in the back doing weird stuff, making Yelena angry at Hawkeye for no reason. We actually kind of get an idea of who she is and why she does what she does. She's not the main villain. Well, she is the main villain, but she's not the main antagonist. She's not the most antagonistic force in the movie. She definitely causes a lot of problems, but the final, big final third act problem isn't even really her, and I don't want to spoil it, but that third act was something special, and I do like how they tie it together, because that brings us to Bob, who is the new character who was added into this movie, and I'm not going to spoil anything other than Bob. Robert, there you go. A little bit extra spoiler. His name is Robert, but they call him Bob for short. He is very well explored. I like what they did with this character, and I can't go into it too deeply without spoilers, so go watch this movie, but I do like how Marvel tackled his character with some thought. They really wanted to do something special here, and a lot of it has to do with his mental health and his drug addiction and past trauma. Once again, that's a very heavy theme in this movie. and how it all ends is beautiful. I loved it. Very emotional, very well written. The plot as a whole, the world building is very satisfying. It's like they made it a simple character study, a very character driven film, but also there's a larger picture going on here. A lot of it has to do with the government and you know who's gonna be the next Avengers. Are we gonna have a new Avengers? Like it all works well together, and I'm happy for it. Thank you, Marvel, for not making a piece of garbage again. I am Luke Filmboss, and I give Thunderbolts an 88% in quality and enjoyment. It's very good. Thank you all for watching. I will see you all on the next one. Bye.